Time now for weather with Nebraska Extension ag climatologist and Market Journal chief meteorologist Al Dutcher. And Al, you weren't lying last week when you said we were going to experience a pretty stable weather pattern this week. Do you have any surprises in store as far as the weather goes for the holidays?
Well, Troy, you're absolutely correct. We had some nice weather, but unfortunately it's going to come to a dramatic end, and it looks like it's going to come to an end the day after Christmas, thankfully. At least for traveling up to Christmas, things look great, but then we have a big storm system that's been well advertised now for the past week, and each run that we see in the model seems to intensify this system. So we will expect to see some blizzard conditions somewhere in the western Corn Belt, and the most likely scenario will be in portions of central, northern Nebraska and parts of South Dakota, potentially moving more eastward. If the system digs a little bit farther to the south and moves a little bit more toward the east, that would allow more of that cold air to move into our region. So let's get a look at the current forecast as we go forward in time. And today what we notice is that we have just a little bit of a wave. This piece of energy is expected to move toward the east and not really impact us much except for the slight cool down as high pressure will start to build in, and we'll start to see some warming conditions, and we look for a third consecutive weekend of nice conditions without snow, as a major snowmaker will be up the eastern seaboard, and that's that system that passed through us during the midweek and gave us a few sprinkles. Then we kind of see a wavy pattern with a piece of energy moving the northern stream, and then we have the southern stream where a lot of the energy is going to come into. But you can see high pressure dominates most of the central United States and the southeastern United States, with the major precipitation dictated over the northwestern United States with a little bit of flurry activity over the Great Lakes. Then as we get into the day Monday, here's our piece of energy that's going to be our next storm system just coming on board across the western United States. We see a series of low pressure systems indicated at the surface. This is kind of diffuse. These will congeal into one storm system as we go into the day on Tuesday, but most of the precipitation remains to our west. Now you can see this energy starting to dig rather deeply as we get into the day on Christmas. The low pressure system on the GFS model is basically in northeastern portions of New Mexico, and that will lift toward the northeast, spreading that precipitation out into the high plains, particularly as we get into the day on Wednesday, as that upper air low starts to move its way toward the western Great Lakes. Surface low looks like it will be somewhere in south central Kansas. That will allow heavy moisture to move northward, and then that we'll see probably a pretty significant severe weather outbreak and heavy snow on the northwest side of it. And then that system moves up rapidly toward the western Great Lakes, bringing the cold air in behind it as we go on the day on Thursday, as that low pressure looks to be over in central Wisconsin. That wraparound will bring some additional snowfall to portions of central northeast Nebraska and lighter precipitation amounts in southeast Nebraska. And then as we get into the end of the week, that low pressure system tracks off toward the east. We get a northwesterly flow into our region, bringing down that cool Canadian air into our region, which probably will keep temperatures well below normal as most of flurry activity starts to occur across the northern plains. The one thing we will also note is that it does appear as we get late into next week, another system will move across the northern plains, potentially impacting the Dakotas and Minnesota with blizzard-like conditions. We'll pay attention to this because if it slips a little bit farther south, that could impact at least the northern half of Nebraska. If we look to the 8 to 14 day forecast, and this takes us basically from next Thursday through the following Tuesday, we do see that above normal or below normal temperatures in the western United States, above normal to the east. And in terms of precipitation, you do see this heavy bullseye here that incorporates southeast Nebraska. Remember, this is catching the last half of this storm system, so the quantitative precipitation is looking at least 3/4 of an inch across the state, so very heavy precipitation. So Troy, overall, looks like night conditions through Christmas, and then we see some conditions deteriorating. Wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.